court has found that, and Elvis Chan testified under oath in charge of this for you. He said 50%. He had a 50% success rate in having alleged election disinformation taken down or censored. That wasn't just foreign adversaries, sir. That was American citizens. How do you answer for that?
Well, first off, I'm not sure that's a correct characterization.
Comes right out of the opinion. You should read it.
Of his testimony. But what I would say is the FBI is not in the business of moderating content or causing any social media company to suppress or censor.
That is not what the court has found.
And, of course, that's from yesterday's hearing in Congress where you had Republicans questioning FBI Director Christopher Wray about the actions his office of the FBI has taken in a variety of different capacities. And, of course, that on the heels of the Louisiana federal court saying that the government can no longer talk with social media companies to try to censor speech. That's just one aspect that they covered yesterday in the House hearing of Christopher Wray addressing a variety of things. Welcome back. Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY. Springfield's News and Talk. Some other things that were brought up include the allegations that the FBI is protecting the Bidens and looking to prosecute Republicans. Here is Representative Matt Gaetz laying out some of his criticisms of what ultimately he says transpired and asking Director Wray directly as to what he's doing here when it comes to the Biden influence peddling operation that is alleged in all kinds of documents and revelations and whistleblower testimony.
I'm sitting here with my father. I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows and my ability to forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction. I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father. Sounds like a shakedown, doesn't it, Director?
I'm not going to get into commenting on that.
You seem deeply uncurious about it, don't you? Almost suspiciously uncurious. Are you protecting the Bidens?
Absolutely not. The FBI does not and has no interest in
you won't answer the question about whether or not that's a shakedown, and everybody knows why you won't answer it. Because to the millions of people who will see this, they know it is. And your inability to acknowledge that is deeply revealing about you.
So again, Matt Gaetz raising alarm that the FBI director just won't really answer that question head on about whether the FBI is protecting the Bidens in the ongoing questions of corruption and influence peddling and the like. You have another one, U.S. Representative Barry Moore. He asked the FBI director directly if the investigation is happening of Hunter Biden. And, all of this while you had just a ridiculous investigation that the special counsel John Durham found of Donald Trump was unfounded and should not have proceeded. So here is one of the representatives. Here we go, Representative Tiffany, who raised concerns about the lack of investigation or the lack of charges against the Biden family for taking foreign money from foreign companies and foreign actors, and 10% for the big guy, and so on. So here is Representative Tiffany with some of his questioning of the FBI director from yesterday's nearly 6-hour-long hearing.
Did Joe Biden take payments from Burisma or any other foreign companies as vice president, president, or private citizen Biden?
As you may know, there is an ongoing investigation being led by the U.S. Attorney in Delaware, Mr. Weiss, appointed by President Trump in the last administration, that our Baltimore field office is working with, and I would refer you to him as to what, if anything, can be shared.
So the president is under investigation.
I'm not going to confirm or speak to who is or isn't under investigation for what. I'm simply going to tell you.
So he's not under investigation?
I didn't say that either. By long-standing department policy and practice, I'm not going to be confirming or denying who is or isn't under investigation.
So still a lot of questions there, and this again was a pretty explosive hearing. And if you get a chance at all, go back and dip into some of the 5 hours or so of that hearing, because you had Republicans asking substantive questions about a dual standard when it comes to enforcing the law. Democrats fired back and said all this is a Trump re-election campaign message that the Republicans and the Oversight Committee had, trying to label the FBI wrongly, and they talked about the document case and all of that. But you also had the Democrats raise issues about domestic violent extremism and whether or not that's an ongoing problem. One Democrat was like, there's a lot of pro-choice clinics and abortion clinics that are being targeted by domestic extremists. But Christopher Wray said it's actually 70% of the overall cases are dealing with attacks against pro-life organizations and pro-life facilities. So the vast majority of problems in that space are attacks against pro-life facilities, not pro-choice facilities. So interesting to hear that. But again, the issue of censoring speech was very much part of this. And we'll talk more about that with the publisher of Skyhorse Publishing coming up next here with Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and... So we heard some of the testimony from Chris Wray yesterday and the myriad of questions about the FBI taking part in a censorship campaign to try to censor speech. Well, somebody who's pretty familiar with the censorship that happens across the country, publisher Tony Lyons joins us from Skyhorse Publishing here with WMAY. Tony, thanks for taking time with us this morning. What's the latest on all of this? Of course, you've got that case out of Louisiana that has the federal judge telling the Biden administration and government actors to stop censoring speech and stop working with social media companies. But apparently, the federal government says they want to continue censoring speech. Where are we at with all of this? Good morning.
Yeah, so I think it's an absolute outrage that, that the government would be censoring big tech speech. I mean, that's got to be unconstitutional. And, we have a right in this country to get the raw information, especially, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is running for president. How can his speech be censored in this country? I mean, how can an administration that is running against Robert F. Kennedy Jr. be censoring his speech? So I think it's really an awful thing. And it's great that there's a federal judge who's trying to get it to stop. But it's really scary to think that the president of the United States is involved in censorship of political speech.
And of course, Skyhorse is the publisher of Robert Kennedy Jr.'s book, The Real Anthony Fauci, which is pretty explosive. Also, other books that are, not popular necessarily in the themes amongst some in the establishment, but obviously popular for those who get their hands on it and read these. But there's obviously with the concerns that were raised by the hearing yesterday in the Oversight Committee of the U.S. Congress, you had Christopher Wray, kind of push back, saying they don't censor, they don't, put pressure on companies to censor. Talk about Skyhorse Publishing in particular. Do you guys get pressure from government actors to not publish certain works?
Yeah, so we don't get pressure from the government, but our books do get censored through government action. So, when the U.S. government says publicly that they're not censoring speech, that's just a lie. And it's really awful that the U.S. government would claim that they're not doing it when there are actual letters that have been written to big tech companies asking them to censor books. So, we need political figures, we need candidates, we need a president who will tell the truth to the people of this country.
Tony Lyons, Skyhorse Publishing with us. Some of the other revelations from yesterday during the committee hearing with Christopher Wray deals with something that was revealed even earlier this week about Ukraine and an intelligence group over there having the FBI relay information on behalf of Ukrainian intelligence, which apparently are corrupt. What in the world's going on here?
Yeah, so I think, all of this is just absolutely upside down. So we have a situation here where the middle class in this country is really suffering. And we're so involved in the Ukraine war that we're spending $200 billion there. We don't even know what we're doing. We don't even know if the information we're getting is accurate. And we're certainly not clear what we're fighting for there. So I think that we need to have a government that stops censoring its people and that starts protecting people in this country rather than getting involved in proxy wars for other countries.
Tony, of course, the real Anthony Fauci is out now. Even the audio version is something people can put on for their summertime driving vacation. Talk about some of the other works that Skyhorse Publishing has and the important topics you guys take on that others don't. And regardless of not being reviewed by like the New York Times bestseller list, you guys are still selling gobs and gobs of copies of these books.
Yeah, and that's because there's kind of a rebellion going on in this country, that people know what's happening, and that's a great first step, that there are, hundreds and hundreds of shows like this show where people can get real information, even if the government's trying to stifle dissent in, so many other venues. So some of the other books that we're working on now, we have 2 other Robert F. Kennedy Jr. books coming out this summer. One of them is called The Wuhan Cover-Up, which is just a fantastic story and is going to, blow the lid off the story that that COVID came from the wild. I mean, this is a book that proves conclusively that COVID is a lab leak and that every bit of it was known about, was controlled, was covered up. So it's a book that I think will be widely covered in alternative media, that the American people will be shocked by and will want to read and will continue to rebel in the ways that they have been.
Tony, we've got about 30 seconds here. Where can people get more information about forthcoming publications and books they can purchase through Skyhorse?
Sure. So the best place to go is skyhorsepublishing.com. That has all of our books. We have, lots of other new books coming out. But that's a great one, and I recommend that people buy it.
Well, hopefully we can talk with you again here in the near future, especially when that comes out. And if there's any way to get Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on the air, too, here locally, that'd be fantastic. Tony Lyons, publisher of Skyhorse Publishing, greatly appreciate it. Be safe out there.
Yeah, thanks so much.
It is Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY, now 8 o'clock.
From the Fly SPI Studios.